Now watch this drive.
Back to the channel, Goty. So it's been a week now since the Game Awards. Game Awards were announced and the winners were given and such stuff. I've been up to other things, so I've not been able to make any videos, but I thought I would catch up on this as the dust settles now. So, the Game Awards. I made a video on this a couple of years ago. These things are fixed, basically. They are clearly fixed. And I've been saying it for years, and people have said, oh, it's just because Xbox doesn't win any games. They don't win games because they don't get nominated for games. They don't get nominated for games because the show is purely aimed at just awarding Sony. Sony purely own the Game Awards. I mean, you only have to look at Jeff Keighley as evidence of that, as fact of that, as you couldn't get any more pro Sony if you tried with that guy. And he hates Xbox. In fact, he tries to downplay Xbox as much as he can. I just want first mention talk about the weird guy. This is the guy, remember, that says that he cancelled E3. Basically, he didn't want to go to it. Don't think people go to it because it's taking the wrong direction. It's too much about advertising, not enough about the games. Blah 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 blah. So E3 gets cancelled, and then he pushes his own show, which is the Game Awards, basically into the exactly same direction as E3 was going, which he said he didn't like. And now it's all about... He's turned the Game Awards into a game show, basically, into E3. That's what he's literally done. It's not about the awards now. The awards are secondary. A lot of times they give the awards out and just say it, and that's it, they move on. Some of them, they don't even, hound out anything. They just say the winner is... blah, next one. Winner is... They just skip through the awards really quickly and just fill it with ads and other shit. And games and things like that. It is just a Gamescom now. The show's become a Gamescom, which, well done, Jeff. You're making lots and lots of money, but you're so bad for gaming. You're just not a good representative of games at all. They should close these awards. But moving on from there, let's look at the winners. So firstly, let's start on the actual winner itself. Even they had to wait 5 hours for the winner to be announced at the Game Awards, which you all knew would happen. We knew Last of Us 2 would win it because we knew it was all biased. Nobody liked it. Yeah, all the people going, oh no, it did. It's just the haters. People scream at this game not to win, and there's evidence of that. It sells evidence. It's user ratings evidence. People go to company and say, oh no, but it was spammed with fake accounts down scoring it. The guy on YouTube also done. I can't remember the guy's name now, but. It was rated up with fake accounts as well. Its score was rated up and spammed by fake accounts rating it up. There was actually more accounts that's giving it higher scores, fake accounts giving it higher scores, than ones giving it lower scores. So, but Metacritic don't seem to have done that. It's odd also about the Metacritic thing. Sony, old cancel culture Sony, who have just recently cancelled Cyberpunk, cancel culture Sony. That recently, for Metacritic, they paid Metacritic off to remove the poor user scores. Why have if it's such an issue, low scores and user scores, why don't they do any other games? Why have they only done it to The Last of Us 2? Why only that game? Because Sony clearly paid them, because that's what Sony does. They pay for positive publicity and delete negative publicity, which they've done for The Last of Us 2. They blocked. You can Google this all over YouTube. There's people having their videos. Anything negative towards The Last of Us 2 was basically deleted, blocked, banned from cancel culture Sony. But anyway, let's go on to the Game Awards. Yes, so The Last of Us 2 wins, which was to the shock of many people, including PS gamers.
2 goes for best game of the year.
The Last of Us Part 2. Congratulations.
Man, thank you, Keanu. That's a surreal thing to say.
What?
Shout out to our game directors, Kurt Marganow and Anthony Newman. Wish we could be doing this together, guys.
Neil Druckmann, best game director of all time. Between those, I would go Ghost.
Because Ghost for me was well-rounded.
Come on. There's small hope because they gave The Last of Us 2 to best direction.
They don't.
So they wouldn't do direction, acting, music, and best game.
Those two.
Yeah. Last.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
No! I fucking knew it!
Again,
you encourage this! You have got to to
want a
be
Dolly Dog.
kidding me.
I can't wait to hug and high five and get drunk with each one of you.
Yeah, Angry Joe was very disappointed. He is actually a big PS gamer, a Sony fanboy, you could say. As long as many YouTubers that completely despised this award ceremony. So what was that? So yes, he wasn't the only disgruntled person. I mean, the whole show was just weird and obviously twisted towards. I mean, it's a big Sony marketing ploy in a way. When you got 3 of the nominations, PS exclusives, and people can go, oh, but they're the ones that make great games. That's absolute nonsense. One of them was a remake for a start. Ghost of Tsushima, yes, should have won Game Award, as his is a Sony show anyway. Out of all the Sony games that year, Ghost of Tsushima should have won it. Everyone was saying that should have won. I've tried Ghost of Tsushima. That should have won. Why I went to The Last of Us 2? It was purely a paid, controlled thing, all to do with the way of how gaming is going and how it's just been ruined, just like the movies now. I spoke to this in a podcast recently on Direct's podcast, The New Legal, check him out, about the situation and the future of gaming, which is if it's going to go down this route, it's going to destroy it, absolutely kill it, and it doesn't help with things like this, with Jeff Keighley basically bending the knee to this kind of wokeness in gaming, which is ruining gaming. It shouldn't be part of gaming. Gamers, race, sexual preference, everything, none of that is relevant in gaming, because at the end of the day, everyone plays a character, you're all playing a role, nobody knows who each other are, race, genders, everything, absolutely irrelevant. So when they try to force this narrative into gaming, it kills it off, it ruins it. And this is exactly the case for Last of Us Part 2. I mean, let's forget about Windowgate.
Hello, I'm Matthew Gallant, and this is my fellow designer and neighbor, Amelia Schatz.
And Shoegate. I mean, why was he wearing those shoes? It looks ridiculous. It's like his mum dressed him.
I'm like, we have to show this out. There's so much.
We need to say it how it is, basically. The show, the Game Awards is a big farce. It has been for a long time. If we go back to previous ones, let's look at God of War winning that year. God of War was a good game, but Red Dead 2, it won more awards, it rated higher, it sold more, yet God of War still won it, because primarily this is a Sony show. Last year we had Death Stranding was nominated. Death Stranding, another game that's usually universally panned by critics, but yet it got nominated. Gears 5 didn't get nominated, it rated higher than Death Stranding. Once again, no Xbox game got nominated again. Even despite their ratings, despite their sales, they never seem to get any ratings. Never nominated for any awards, Game of the Year awards. There's always at least 2 PlayStation exclusives in there. Always, every time, regardless of their ratings or how well they sell or anything. There's always 2 of them in there all the time, and no Xbox games. It's just ridiculously biased and ignorant. But let's go back to this, The Last of Us 2, and the whole issue. I mean, straight from the get-go, the pre-show before the Game Awards was an advert for The Last of Us 2. They had 5 or 6 minutes dedicated a show to The Last of Us 2, telling us all about The Last of Us 2, almost if they're trying to convince you that it's a good game. It's like, the game's bad. Oh no, it's good, this is why it's good, you will like it, honestly, vote for it, it's a really good game, please vote for it, please. Almost if they're trying to brainwash you or convince you, or almost if they've already made their decision, they're trying to sway you to agree with them. It's sort of, we've already decided behind the curtains that it's won, but we just want you on board so we don't get a massive backlash, like we did. They did get a massive backlash. So they had a pre-show dedicated to Last of Us 2, but they also had random adverts shown into the entire show, which just promoted The Last of Us 2 randomly out of nowhere. It was just like, yeah, it had 2 girls talking about The Last of Us 2, about their favourite characters. It had a music The Last of Us 2, it had this The Last of Us 2, that The Last of Us 2. It was just too much.
Hi, I am Mary Mauser, along with Peyton List from Netflix's Cobra Kai. We're here to settle one of the great rivalries in gaming.
This is Abby versus Ellie from The Last of Us Part 2.
I am Team Ellie. Ellie is probably one of the greatest game characters of all time.
Yeah, and Abby can beat her up, so that makes Abby better. Team Abby, all day.
What?
Oh, yeah, she's like a perfect physical specimen. If she gets a nap and some food in her, she could probably deadlift a small car. And she's nice to dogs.
Well, Ellie is an artist and a beautiful singer.
Well, Abby could be a good singer, you don't know.
Yeah, you can tell she's not a good singer. Point selectors don't make good singers.
Okay, fair enough. You win this round, Mauser.
Last of Us, here is Troy Baker.
One day on the set of The Last of Us Part 1, Neil, our writer and director, asked me and Ashley what we would have been if we weren't actors. I thought about it for a second and replied that I always imagined I would have been a singer. Ashley just shrugged and, in her charming and offhanded way, said, I would have been an astronaut. Neil incorporated parts of us into
Yep, it was one big cringe fest. The whole thing was cringe. It was one just giant advert for Sony and for the Last of Us 2 game, which is trying to push an agenda onto people. It was just diabolical. It's awful to watch. The show was probably the worst show ever seen, and the outcome was bad. Many gamers thought it, including these as well. These people, these YouTubers, Twitter people, thought the same.
Goes
Hades,
to
Hades, come on, Imagine.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Good award show. See you next year.
Fantastic. And now, the Game of the Year award goes to The Last of Us Part 2.
Again,
this is intense. Game of the year. The whole entire year. It comes down to this moment.
Fantastic. And now, the Game of the Year award
Game of the year
goes to The Last of Us Part 2.
Again, big congrats to all the other games we're nominated with. Everyone at Naughty Dog, I can't wait to hug and high five and get drunk with each one of you.
And on top of all that, all the publicity and all the sort of promotion of The Last of Us 2, which they clearly wanted to win, which they clearly known had already run, it picked up so many awards. There was just so much promotional content for Last of Us 2. They knew it had won. They were already planning it way in advance for this show, clearly. They decided to sort of just not give any promotion to Xbox. For example, the same old games, like best ongoing game, for example, No Man's Sky. Why does Sea of Thieves never get a nomination? Sea of Thieves, for example, puts out free DLC, free content quarterly. The game has come along massively. It's got over 15 million players. Still, it's not even nominated. But No Man's Sky, and I've played both of them on Game Pass. I'm sorry, but No Man's Sky is like a last-gen game. By last-gen, I mean 360, PS3 era game. The graphics are not brilliant. It looks very, very generic. The whole gameplay is just boring and dull. The game's just nowhere on a level as graphically or gameplay-wise as Sea of Thieves, and the content is just not as good. The flying through space is just very basic and very awful. But the one I want to highlight here, and I won't even mention the other stuff, but the thing is, Microsoft Flight Simulator rated 92, 93%. It should be up for a Game of the Year, but no, what it did is invent a category for it. Best Sim Strategy Game. That's never been a category before. I invented a category just to throw it into, just so it couldn't be nominated for Game of the Year. The one-off category. You won't see that category next year. So I invented a category for it to throw it in there, just so it can't compete with any of the Sony games. Threw it in there. And then, this is Jeff's reaction to Microsoft Flight Sim coming to Xbox. Just like many of these things, he just didn't seem to have any care at all because it was for the Xbox.
All right, Microsoft Flight Simulator looks amazing, coming next summer to Xbox.
In addition, was you aware many of the games shown were actually Xbox exclusives? The Warhammer game, Warhammer 40k, for example, was Xbox exclusive. Ark 2 is exclusive to Xbox. Yet, Jeff didn't even mention this. He didn't even mention these games are owned on Xbox. When they showed an exclusive to PS5, he said this game will be coming to PS5 only, blah blah blah, waffle waffle waffle, big smile on his face. Anything that's exclusive to Xbox, didn't even mention it. Didn't even let you know that it was exclusive. He just rolled on with the game and then bounced on to the next subject. Didn't even mention it was exclusive. Because he did not want to promote Xbox in the slightest.
Yeah, that's right. Arc 2 starring Vin Diesel. And the team at Studio Wildcard has one more announcement for all Arc fans. Check this out.
So to round it up, all in all, the show was just one big Sony award, one big cringe fest for Sony, for the PlayStation, and for their games, and for this terrible game that should not be awarded anything. Because it's just trying to force an agenda onto people, and it's just wrong. People didn't like the game. People voted by their user scores and by not buying the game, and you went against that. You've just gone against everything, and you tried to silence everyone and said no, and you've tried to force it into them saying no, you will like this game. No, we're doing this for the game. You will like it or else. Oh, it just drives you mad that the politics keep having to go into gaming all the time. It's just terrible. I don't know what's happening in the world, to be honest, at the moment, especially with all the, sort of the movies. That's the other thing. They've got all movie directors and actors showing up to this thing. This is a Game Awards. Why don't we have gamers coming up and talking and presenting and stuff? Or, you know, we've got plenty of gamers, YouTubers and stuff out there. Why are you getting movie people? Because you're turning it into one big movie. You're trying to turn it into the Oscars, which we know is absolutely corrupt. The movies that ever win the Oscars are not the movies we actually enjoy and go and watch, are they? We know that for a fact. Saying that the actors that win, the movies that win, are never films that we enjoy. They're never the big budget films that we go to cinemas and watch. They'll be some black and white French movie, won't they? Let's be honest. None of us really enjoy. But I'm just going to round out there because I don't want to keep ranting on about this. It just gets tiresome every year. It's just getting worse and worse every year, this show. And I think they should just basically end it, scrap it, put a proper system in place, because the voting system and everything they got is a complete mess, and it shouldn't be run or owned or promote anyone in particular as well. The subject's all off. The whole thing is off. The whole thing is just flawed. The whole system of it is flawed. I've said this in a video 2 years ago. It's still flawed. It just carries on year after year, and nobody takes this seriously anymore. But I heard that apparently 2.5 million people voted. Apparently, gamers voted. That's 2.5 million. That's not many at all. If you look across all the platforms of consoles and PC and everything, 2.5 million people. That's not many at all. That's how many people cared. 2.5 million give a shit about this, and that is not many. That is not a lot of people give a shit about this award. So what's funny is that people will throw this down in your throat. Oh, this game, this game won this award. This console has this awards. The other console doesn't have these awards. Nobody cares these awards anymore. They've lost complete trust. Nobody goes to cinema. Nobody throws films in your face. I watch this film. The film you like doesn't have any Oscars. This film I like does have Oscars. So the film you like is trash. Nobody does that. What are you doing about games? Why are you trying to follow this political agenda of these people that are just trying to control your mind, control basically how you feel about games and how the run of games should be? They're removing gameplay, injecting more and more cutscenes, more and more QTEs and stuff into the games. They're just turning them into animated movies basically, and it's just wrong. It's not why I got into gaming, to be honest. Anyway, let me hear your opinions down below. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye for now.